Hey, hey, coffee lovers, got John with me today. Also, Eric. Hey, Eric. Thanks for joining us. You're excited to receive your new Gage machine in a few days. That's awesome. So today, I don't know which exactly one you're getting, but maybe it's a Gage Classic.
Yeah, E24.
We're going to do some stuff with that, but really, today's about controlling some variables, right, John?
That's right. Yeah, we're going to be talking about a lot of accessories, upgrades, parts, things like that that are going to make making espresso way more consistent, way easier, and hopefully tastier as well.
It is a game of controlling variables. We've got some lower cost options here that can really upgrade your game, whether you're using something like the Gage Classic, really nice entry-level machine, best value, or an ECM Synchronica 2. We've got a range of grinders here. We've got the Baratza Encore ESP, and we've got the new Chiato Chameleon single doser over here. Really like that with some really cool burrs in it.
Oh, yeah.
Do want to remind you, again, hey, Terry, we will be taking your questions, so get them down in their comments. If we're looking down there, we're reading what you're leaving, and we'll try and answer those when we can, especially towards the end, but get them in there. Maybe we'll see one. I do remind you, if you're not a subscriber, for Christ's sake, subscribe to the channel. Turn on your notifications so you know when we're going to be doing this. We've got lots of great content coming all the time. So, John, first, what are we going to talk about? So we've got, over on your side, we've got what?
We've got dosing cups over here. These are from Varia. Here's from Eureka. Right here, we've got upgraded portafilter baskets and a range of sizes and different hole cuts and shapes.
Yeah, we'll talk about some things you should be aware about if you're going to go with a triple shot basket, right?
Right, yep. I've also got WDT tools here.
Got mine over here.
Oh, wow, we got a bunch of them up here. Nice. We have dosing funnels and dosing rings, which are awesome to use with those WDT tools. We'll get into that as well.
Yeah.
What do we got over here?
So we might get into some gaskets. So I brought along some group gaskets here. We'll talk more about these. These are some stock ones. These are some upgrade ones that can make your life a little bit easier. They last a little bit longer.
Nice.
Then some tamping tools. So we have everything from this is kind of like an all-purpose. This is the jack, which can do everything for you, level out your coffee and compress it. Then we have some other options from Eureka. We have a really higher-end set from, I'll kind of bring that up a little bit, from Bravo, which is a leveler and tamper.
Oh, yeah.
We have the all-in-one here from Rocket. We have another ECM one. We'll talk more about those. But again, go ahead.
Oh, no, not to mention the bottomless portafilter. We are going to get into that too.
Yes, and what you need to know, why you might want to have one, right? They're pretty to look at, but also can tell you a lot about your puck prep, which is very important, controlling that variable.
Yeah.
But let's get right into it. So what I want to do is we're going to come back. So I've got kind of what I would call more of an entry-level setup here. So we've got a Gage Classic Pro E24. This is the brass boiler now. We've got a fairly entry-level sort of grinder. This is the Baratza Encore ESP.
I'm guessing that stands for Espresso.
Espresso. So I don't know if you can really see here, but it does have an espresso range in here. We've got a really great video that my buddy Brian, who's directing the show today, did covering all you need to know about the ESP. Very affordable entry-level option. Oh, there you can see a little espresso range up there.
Yeah.
Pre-dialed this in an hour or so ago. But a grinder like this, one of the problems you can run into is maybe sometimes the espresso sizes, it's maybe a little clumpy.
A little clumpy sometimes, yeah.
Yeah. And we love grinders that put out the nice fluffy stuff, but we're going to show you how to take care of that. I also want to take you through my process of getting a consistent, because we're all about consistency, brew temp at 200 degrees. I did a really in-depth video on this one, so if you're interested in the best entry-level machine in the business, a true machine with a real boiler, this is the guy right here. It has been for years. So let me take you through that. I'm going to use some of our own Crema Wave coffee. This is roasted locally. You'll be using one of our higher-end roasted locally coffees.
Yeah, I've got a single origin Guatemala Huehue Tenango. We'll get there.
I'm also going to be using a scale. Now, we always suggest that you use a scale when making espresso. Why?
You just want to control your variables, and you want to observe your variables so that you can eliminate things. So you want to know how much coffee you're using, your ground coffee dose, and you also want to know what I call your wet coffee, your actual brewed espresso. And when you have those two numbers, you can figure out what your brew ratio is. Now, you might like a ristretto, a 1-to-1, let's say 18 in, 18 out. or you might like a 1 to 2. That's a little more standard these days. So, for example, 18 in, 36 out. You just double it.
We're talking grams. Right?
Grams, that's right. Yeah. Or a 1 to 3, which I think, I'm not very good at math, but 18 and
Times
54
3.
out. Yeah, does that sound right? So
54, yeah.
54, thank you. So, once you know those things, you can start to change over other variables, but can't do much if you don't know, so that's why we use the scale.
Okay, I see W. Reed there is already asking me, crema wave, what temperature? I start at 200, and that's what I'm going to show you how to do on the Gaggia Classic Pro E24. I've got a technique for that. Right?
I'm going to be interested in that myself, yeah.
So notice first of all what I'm doing here, consistency. My portafilter, when not in use, is in the group because this is a big old heavy portafilter. We want that to be warm as well. This group gets warm. If you're in a super entry level, what I call the appliance grade machines, this is not going to be warm. It's not going to be a warm portafilter. So we're leaving that in there. But let's start here. So I'm going to use a Baratza Encore ESP. Pre-dialed this in an hour or two ago. We'll see how that works out. I'm going to use a dose. I'm using the all stock. This is all stock right now. Have no upgrades.
No
we'll
upgrades.
Talk a little bit about upgrades.
So this is just right out of the box, right?
Right out of the box.
Nice.
So I am going to use a scale. So I'm going to make sure my scale, I'm using a Varia Accu scale over here, and I've got an Accu Pro that we're going to use to weigh our coffee out.
Nice.
And I want a dose of 16 grams with that stock basket. So first thing I'm going to do is put the ESP here has a little dosing cup.
Nice.
This will go right into my portafilter. So I'm going to tear out my scale here, and I'm just going to turn on. This is a very simple grinder. It's on or off, or you can pulse here. So I'm just going to let that grind. I know it's about 10 seconds. I'm kind of trying to count in my head.
You can kind of eyeball it a little bit,
Yeah.
get close enough, and then see where you're at.
So this is a slower grinder compared to some of the other ones we use. And
Sure.
it looks like I might have gone a little heavy there. We'll find out. Yeah, I'm at 19, so I'm just going to lose a little bit of that. Sacrifice to the coffee gods, if you will, 17.2. I want to be as accurate as I can.
And you're going to 16, you said, right?
16.
Okay.
16. I'm almost close enough.
We're getting there.
So I'm at 16 too. If I'm within 0.3 of a gram, that's good enough for me.
I'm good with that.
Now I shook that around a lot, and I don't know. Let's see if we can get a shot. Oh, maybe right here, Brian. Huh?
Hey, there we go.
So it does come out a little clumpy from this grinder. As you go up in quality in grinder and bigger burrs and that kind of thing, it's not going to be so clumpy. But we're going to show you how to deal with that. So I'm going to come up front here now and show you how I do that. So I'm going to take my portafilter out. Always like to wipe my portafilter dry. So I've got a towel there.
Now, what's the main problem with those clumps?
Well, if I just put those in there and just start compressing those, then some of that coffee is going to be denser in certain spots. The water's maybe not going to flow quite evenly through the coffee.
You might just go around those clumps and not actually get through it.
And you're going to do a demo later, I think, over here with a bottomless, so you can really see what happens. We'll talk why a bottomless portafilter is a great tool for that. So this is like a flip cup, I guess we kind of call them. So put the portafilter on top, flip it upside down. So what I like to do, so if we can get a look at that, you can see kind of the clumps in there, right?
Yep, now you can really see it, yep.
So I've got this little dosing ring that I'm going to put over here. This is a Vitamin. It's got little magnets on the back. It's really nice. This will stick to a filter basket. Like, oh, there it is.
No problem.
So I kind of like that. That's kind of cool. So I'm going to stick that on there because I'm going to use the WDT tool right here. It's just like
this one is also
acupuncture needles.
Yeah. Now this one is also from Vitamin, right?
Yeah, that's a Vitamin too.
Cool.
We have like an ECM one over there, so they come in different shapes and sizes. Now I'm just going to stir up the grinds to break up those clumps, deep in the bed and come up. And one thing I like to do, some people are going to yell at me maybe for this, just give us a little tap like that just to settle it.
You know what? I do that too.
You do that too?
I do that too, yep. Yeah, so we're both catching heat today.
And then a tool that I've been using forever. This is a jack leveler, comes in all kinds of colors. Let me just show you that this is adjustable here, so you can adjust the depth. So this is what, you can use this as an all-in-one tool. You could still tamp after this if you wanted to, but you don't have to. I know in our very own kitchen, Zach had set up, for everybody working up front there, it said, here, just grind this, do this, use the jack, and that's all you got to do.
And just call it a day. Just use the jack.
Call it a day. What's nice is this is going to get you a super level, super great distribution every time, because if you're using a regular tamper and you're tamping like this, And we're going to demo that, right?
Oh, you bet we are.
That you're going to get a different flow rate through your coffee. And again,
Right.
we're controlling variables. So I'm just going to take this, sit it in, and spin.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it. Now this you can actually raise the height of the
Right.
those
So
kind of blades,
I could
right?
take a look at this. So I often got questions about this is how do I adjust this? So if I notice that I'm not quite getting it enough, I can change the depth a little bit
Cool.
and just spin that down. And there we go.
Boom.
Beautiful. Okay, so now we're going to go over here. Let me show you the technique on here to get the 200 that I want to use for the crema wave. It's like a medium roast, so that's where I would start with the medium roast, is right in the middle of that 195 to 200. So the deal is here. So my brew ready light right here is on. So what I'm going to do is I'm using a Pyrex cup here to keep things clean. Just let this go for about 10 seconds. I'm just going to flush water out for 10 seconds. I'm sort of kind of counting in my head up to 10-ish. Great.
Yeah.
I think I'm at about 10. So what I'm going to do now is wait for that light to go out. And then I'm going to wait for it to come back on before I start my shot.
Cool.
And I've done so much testing on this. And every time I've done that, I get a perfect 200. We use some, specialized equipment to measure that.
Sure.
So unless I'm blind, that light should go out. There it
All
goes.
right, there you go.
So I'm going to set that in there. I'm going to get my scale up here in AccuPro, get my cup up there while I'm waiting for that to come back on. I am going to tear everything out here.
Now you've done this before. That light went out right when you said it would.
And there it goes.
There it is.
And we'll see how we do here. Now my timer started a little early there for a reason. And I'm looking for, I did 16 grams, so I'm looking for 32 out. In about that 25 to 30 second area. I'm going to subtract about 5 seconds from our time here.
Sure. Now you got a nice flow going here too, though.
And it's looking good.
Yep. And we're at about 25 right now.
So I'm going to stop it right about there. And so we're at 25 seconds, 32 grams. That was absolutely perfect. Oh, I'm sorry. I should have split that so you could taste this.
That's okay. You can enjoy this one, but I'll dive in there. Why not?
But I always stir if I'm just, always going to stir that if I'm going to drink it. And if you saw this coffee really lived up to its name. It was, I call them buckets of crema.
Buckets of crema.
But, it comes apart a little bit after it sits.
Yeah, and I do that as well. I give it a little stir just because the strongest stuff comes out first, the weakest stuff comes out second. You kind of want to mix those layers together.
Yeah. And so let me give this a taste. Oh yeah, that's really sweet. That is like a really nice extraction on the crema wave, which believe me, I drink a lot of this stuff.
Sure.
It's got that little honey and a little bit of
that almond
hint,
flavor that's in there.
Really came out sweet. It's nice and fresh. Really, I'm gonna get another one.
Yeah, you mind if I give that a shot
if
here?
If you want to share, man.
I do. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, nice
I know
happy
you
body.
probably had a lot of this coffee too, right?
I've had a lot of that coffee, yeah, and there's always, a nice almond and honey, and I even get a dark chocolate note in there as well, so yeah, that's a nice extraction.
Really nice, but that's that technique. So it's just flush to get 200 on this, flush for 10 seconds-ish, wait for that brew ready light to go off, get your stuff loaded up, wait for it to come back on, and then just pull it right then. And in all my testing, I'm getting right around 200 every single time. Did a really cool thing if you check out the video for this machine where we actually measured temps within the puck of coffee.
Really?
Which is really neat. Something I really like doing. Of course, when you're done, keep things clean, right?
Of course.
Get it out of there. I usually like to give the machine, just a little flush out like that. We'd clean out the portafilter a little bit.
Yep.
I'm not going to make a huge mess right now, but we'll just wipe that out. And of course, store it back in your machine to keep that warm for next time.
And of course, we do that because you don't want a cold portafilter stealing the heat away from the water. You want that heat to go into the coffee, not straight to the portafilter. So I like that.
And let's talk just real quick while I'm here. So, you notice I'm not like slamming that in there. This has the stock gasket in it. A lot of people will get a machine like this and go, why isn't it going all the way? Well, because this is a relatively new machine, stock gasket. And it's a hard, I'm going to come back up here, Brian. It's a hard rubber. That's the stock gasket right there. It's pretty hard rubber. And again, this is what happens after time, and especially if you're over cranking it continuously. If you can see the ridge in there.
Yeah, look at that divot all the way around.
Yeah, and they get pretty gross looking. They don't make good seals. That's why we do like these silicone gaskets. Are incredibly cheap. They're much, much softer, more supple. You don't have to crank down. And if you really want that perfect 6 o'clock clock in, you can crank a little harder on these, and they're not going to end up looking like this.
Sure, they're not going to get quite as brittle, at least not quite so fast. Yeah, plus I think they look cool.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, they do look cool. Colors are nice, right?
They're nice. Yeah, I like to look under there when I'm doing my bottomless portafilter stuff and see a little bit of yellow under there. Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
So you're going to pull some of this coffee over here
yeah,
to talk about a couple things?
Yeah, and we have a few gadgets that I want to show you while I'm doing that as well. So number one, the first thing I want to show you is we're going to be using a bottomless portafilter today. Now, like Mark said, this is kind of a diagnostic tool. So you can really look at the bottom of this thing. And as espresso is forming down here, you can notice, okay, is it channeling over here or is it coming out over here and not over there? And that's going to kind of give you an indication of anything that you might need to be doing different with your puck preparation. And luckily, we have a bunch of tools to help us with that today as well. And I kind of want to get into the dosing funnels, collars, things like that, and use that WDT tool again. And I want to show you this chameleon grinder that we have from Chiato. It's the E6C. It's got very, very cool opal glide burrs in there. And these are treated so that you can use, guess what, the RDT spray as well. So, and that's really going to help mitigate a lot of that static electricity. It's going to help with grounds flying away, catching to the machine, to the countertop, things like that, keep things really clean. And it also is gonna help you with the retention. It's not going to retain quite as much coffee on the inside of the grinder. It's all going to come right out. And Mark, isn't there something else that happens on the inside of the puck? Yeah,
we were talking, we've been talking a lot to, people who are really into the science of grinding. We do a lot of particle analysis on different grinders here. In fact, we will have a video coming out on the Chameleon here. The Opal Glide X64 burrs. They're a multi-purpose burr. And we've done a lot of grind particle size testing with that, both at espresso sizes and at filter sizes. And what we found with this is that espresso sizes, a slightly higher percentage of fines. But back to the RDT. And why we spray with that is like, okay, so right now the relative humidity in here is about 20%. We're in the wintertime. If you got air conditioning in your house in the summer, you might be down around there too. It just creates more static in the dry air. But the other thing is, talking to some of these grinder science-y people, is that you're also reducing, not just flyaway of grind when you're grinding, but you're getting the static itself, the static charge out of the coffee. And so when the coffee has a static charge, the water doesn't want to enter it because it almost repels the water a little bit at an ionic level. You're saying, like, how am I sticking water through coffee and it's not getting wet? Well, that's, honest to God, it really does happen according to these guys, and I'm believing them. I'm believing them too. They're smarter than me, but it makes sense too. How are you going to get water in there if you've got all these things trying to push water away? So anyway, so we're going to kind of show you how it works, and why don't we just start right now? And we're going to use this bottomless portafilter. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm dosing 22 grams of coffee. So let's talk about another reason for bottomless porta, because here's the stock portafilter for the St. Monica. And if you want to go put, one of those triple shot baskets in this, it's not going to fit. It's not going to fit. No, that's right. Yeah, so if you can see right here, I've got this basket. This is a pretty large basket. This is about 22, maybe even you could fit 24, 25 grams of coffee in here. At about this point right there, that other forked portafilter would start to kind of come in and sort of choke off this bottom of the basket so you wouldn't be able to put it in there. So you'd be able to use a much bigger basket, something like this 22 to 26 even gram range. So today I'm doing 22 grams in this basket. So let's see what we got here. I'm going to use that Guatemala Huehuetenango, that single origin. We're going to give it a good spray. And I'm also going to use the Accu Pro scale. And the reason being, and we'll show you this in just a minute here, but the Accu Pro has one of my favorite features called Accu Spro. And what that does is it will show you your brew ratio for espresso in real time. So earlier we were talking about 1-to-1 being kind of a ristretto,
1 to 2 being what we call a normale, especially if you were tuning in last week and we were talking about different types of shots. This is going to spit out that brew ratio in real time. And Brian, I don't know if you've got a good shot of that, but we can kind of show you all the different quadrants right here. Right here, that's going to be where our ratio is going to show up. And of course, I've programmed my dose for 22 grams. We've got a timer and of course water weight and everything. So we're going to have some fun with that. And I'm going to stop this shot right at 1 to 2. So anyway, in terms of accessories, scales are important. The AccuPro is one of my favorites right now, actually. So let's do a little RDT right here. A couple of sprays is all you need, and then I like to really just make sure that all those droplets of water.
Did you give it a stir? A stir with it?
You bet. You know, some people give it a stir with a spoon.
Yeah.
I think that's totally cool too.
I stick my finger right. I like touching my coffee, so I stick the finger right in there.
Enjoy. There you go. We're all mixed up now, baby.
Awesome.
All right. So let's use this this Chiato chameleon grinder. What I do with my, there it is. I've got this dialed in for espresso, and by the way, this is an all-purpose grinder. So I've been making pots of coffee with this as well. I've been using this grinder.
You did a hot start there, so you had the motor running before you poured the beans in.
Yep.
I found this thing, this is a commercial level motor in here. We'll talk more about that in the video we got coming up.
Oh yeah.
But you can cold start this thing at espresso sizes. Some grinders, you can't do that.
That's absolutely right, yeah. And you know, this is a commercial motor. I wouldn't be surprised if you start seeing the chameleon grinder in coffee shops and things like that, especially grinding for, you could even grind for batch brew in here. You can grind for pour overs, all that kind of stuff. So anyway, here we go. Let's give it a little, I'm gonna take my, this is the ECM branded.
Oh, you're using two different funnels.
Yeah, why not? We have them all here. Let's party. Yeah. So I'm just breaking up some clumps, and there's not too many in there with that grinder, so, but just in case anything is in there, I've got all these tools, let's use them. And that was my my little tap that I also like to do.
Too, yeah.
You bet, yeah. And you know what?
What are you going to use?
I think I'm going to use this.
The 2-in-1?
Yeah, this is actually one of my favorite accessories that we have. It can really kind of cut some costs actually, because you've got a leveler right on one side, and then you've got an actual push tamp on the other side. And it kind of looks like this. It's adjustable too. Earlier I adjusted it exactly how I wanted, just to be able to tamp at the right level.
You say adjust, you're just adjusting the depths of the two different sizes.
That's
right?
exactly right. Yeah, you can take these two rings right here and just unscrew them, and that's going to allow you to adjust the depths of either side. So let's use my leveler. Looking good, and then, but it's not compressed yet, so we still have to tamp. And I'm just going to give that a good push. And that's also that's a level tamp as well. So that's kind of nice. There we go.
Yeah, like with a traditional tamper, right? It's really easy to kind of get on level. We're gonna demo that bottomless, right?
That's right. Yeah. Now,
and I'm gonna pick up. We're gonna get close up. I've got our close up iPhone here.
Yeah.
So we'll
now
get a close look at the extraction.
Now I expect this one to be pretty good.
Yeah.
I think we should play with it and do kind of a wacky extraction after this and see what that looks like. And then that way you'll be able to see what this bottomless portafilter is really going to show you. So here we go. And let's use the AccuSpro setting on the AccuPro scale too. Let me get a cup here. And actually, let's use a new one so we could share some espresso, huh? All right, now.
Here we go. I'm going to get the development here as it comes.
Awesome. All right, this is the Synchronica 2 that we're using.
Oh, I'm touching your scale. Hopefully I didn't screw it.
I think it's going to be okay. Let's see what happens. I'm doing just a little bit of flow with my flow control in the beginning here. And then now that it's building some pressure, I'm going to raise it. Let's see what we got.
Saw pretty even development there across.
Pretty even. I'm seeing a
little
spot.
spot.
See that right there?
Yep.
Yeah, so I wonder if I can grind a little finer and have it, or pre-infuse a little bit longer to have it kind of go a little bit more all over the puck instead of kind of finding a channel there. But check this out. That's our 1-to-2 ratio on that AccuPro scale.
Nailed it.
Yep, yeah, we got 22 in, about, you know, like I was aiming for 44 out, 45 and change. That's about 1 to 2. I'm pretty happy with this shot. So, yeah. not bad. And it was about 20 seconds from the time that it landed. So, want to split this with me?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, here. Let's go for it. All right,
All
Guatemala
right.
Huehue Tenango.
Thank you. This is going to be very different than the crema wave.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, this is probably going to have a heck of a lot more acidity. Not quite as meaty of a this is a little bit closer to like a light roast, so naturally some more acidity.
Oh yeah. Very bright.
Yeah.
And it's got that lemon.
That lemon zest note
yes,
that's
it does.
pretty prominent too. Yeah. Still plenty of like toffee notes and
Yeah.
even like a Three Musketeers nougat on the back end there too. It's kind of nice. Oh man, I'm gonna be buzzing today.
Yeah. I was going to tell a story. I was here with Zach a few weeks ago. I think we tasted 7 espressos inside in an hour.
Good Lord.
At 4 o'clock in the afternoon our time, and I don't think I went to bed till 2 because I'm usually done about 2 in the afternoon with coffee.
Right. Yeah. Not on live stream day.
Yeah. No. But I like that.
There you go. Now here we go. I'm gonna clean this out as well, and then I'm gonna put it. What'd you say? Right back up in the group head. Keep that thing nice and warm.
Keep that warm.
Yeah. Here we go. So yeah, we've got a few other leveling tools that I wanted to kind of walk through. How does that Bravo distributor work?
So this is a higher end. When I said some of the stuff is relatively affordable, if you will. It depends where you want to go. This Bravo is, it's kind of doing what you had here with the Rocket with your 2-in-1. But so what this does is this kind of levels out to your coffee. I'm going to try and show it. So as you set it down, there we go. Sorry about that. It kind of drops by itself, and you can adjust the tension, if you will, on that. And this one, so you spin it one way. It's got the. I'll put it over here, Brian. So it's got kind of these fins on it, which you'll see on most of these. These ones are a little more definite. So you spin one way. So you spin first of all clockwise and then counterclockwise, and it gets you really leveled out.
Oh, you spin counterclockwise too.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then you've got the push tamper here. What I really like about this, and if you can see that, is just how thick this is. And again, because we're talking about, when you're going into tamp, with a standard tamper that doesn't have this edge around it, it's really easy to get kind of cockeyed.
Right, yeah.
And with this one, no, because you're going to set it on your portafilter, and it's going to keep everything nice and level for you.
So it kind of levels itself by hanging onto the basket edges, right?
A lot like we see with the other tools here. Got the same sort of idea, same thing with the Rocket that you were using here as well.
True. Now you know what might be fun?
Yeah.
If you want to pull a shot with that grinder.
Okay.
And let's not break up the clumps. And let's have an uneven tamp and everything. And let's see what
We'll do it over here?
Yeah, we'll do it on that bottomless portafilter, and we'll kind of
Okay.
show you what that does. Yeah.
All right. So we were not dialed in at all for this because, again, it's really weird because I answer so many questions on our YouTube channel. It's like, well, where did you have your grinder set for that? And you know what? In general, where I had my grinder set is not going to apply it all to you, right?
That's true.
Because your machine's different. Between a vibration pump and a rotary pump is different. If you're using a different filter basket, if your coffee's a little older, if you use less or more coffee. So all these variables, they only relate to your setup, right? To your kit.
And every coffee is different too. Every coffee is going to have a certain sweet spot, which is not going to be the same spot on your grinder as it is on someone else's grinder, your neighbor's grinder, or even one that we had in a video. Yeah.
Even as your coffee ages, right? You got that bag that's like a week off a roast, and you're using that, and it hangs around for a month and a half. The grind is probably going to need some adjustment, right?
I just ran into that with a fabulous coffee that I had at the house. It was about 2 weeks off roast, and I had to tighten it up just a little bit to get the right flow rate. And then as soon as it got to that 2-week mark, all of a sudden the coffee just started to shine, and we call that peaked, and it really started to hit a sweet spot. So, but that it's kind of a moving target when it comes to different coffees, even different humidities, things like that. So
yeah. All right. So I'm going to grind you 22.
Let's go with 22.
22? All right.
And I'm not going to break up a single clump.
We'll just leave it as is?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we'll just, we'll see what that looks like with this bottomless portafilter. While Mark's doing that, a couple other really cool upgrades for E61 groups. This is an IMS nanotech screen that can actually really help with water dispersion throughout the entire puck of espresso. And that can really help when it comes to avoiding channeling and things like that, having a much more even dispersion of water throughout the puck, especially if you're pre-infusing. Because if you're pre-infusing and you're getting just kind of like one stream of water in a certain spot out of your screen, then it's going to find that path and really hone in on that path. And then when you go to full pressure after your pre-infusion, it's really just going to blast right through there. So having a really nice even spread of water throughout the entire puck is really going to help. So we have some upgraded screens that can help with that kind of thing as well. And that nanotech coating kind of helps really keep it clean as well.
Keeps things clean? Yep.
Yeah, yep.
All right, I got you exactly 22 grams, my friend.
Thank you, sir. Here we go. All right, let's see what this looks like. Would you call it a flip cup?
Yep.
And you know what? I'm not even gonna.
You're just gonna.
I'm not even gonna tap it. Let's just, why don't we take one of these?
And kind of go off. Can you make it go sideways a little?
I just didn't really apply any pressure, and you can see we've got some pockets over there.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So this is gonna be a real fun one. Let's see what we got.
I'm curious.
And it looks like we have a question too. We got single shot pressure.
We'll try and get into those a little bit. It looks Nick's on with us, so I guess he's been answering a lot of them here.
Oh, thanks, Nick.
But I'll get up close and personal here and hopefully not get sprayed in the face.
Sorry, Mark. All right, let's see what we got. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. You can see how it immediately came from probably that one. And I am getting a little sprayed.
It's not even in the middle. We're really kind of along the outside. Can you see that channel right there?
Yep. I can see the spraying all over. See, you're getting the machine all dirty, John.
Yeah, all for the camera shot. You got it.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow, that's a fun-looking extraction.
A hot mess.
You know what else? This is also actually taking quite a bit longer too, which is interesting. There, it's finally 35 seconds in, gone into the middle. Wow. So if you see something like that with your bottomless portafilter, you've got some puck preparation to do. Do you want to drink that?
I'm going to let you.
I'm all set, man.
Wait, we do say you should taste everything.
Oh, for science.
Now, you're way more familiar with this coffee than me.
Yeah, Brian will do it.
Okay, I'm going to bring this around to Brian.
I'm waiting on Brian's review.
This is the Huawei?
That is
that is the Huawei.
Yep. What do you think?
Not the Huawei. This is
Oh wait, it was ground in there, right?
It is the creme.
It was the creme. Oh my
God. Almost gotcha.
I'm awaiting your refined palate's review.
It's very acidic and bright and unpleasant.
Very unpleasant.
Very acidic.
Astringent.
A little thin.
Astringent and the body's actually surprisingly not that bad.
Body's not that bad. Very astringent, acidic, and bright. He says. I'm so glad you tried that for us, Brian.
That's pretty cool.
Well, that was a fun one. That's what. Oh wow! And look at that.
Okay, yeah.
That's
you can see the hole right there. I mean, that's something to do is take a look.
Yeah.
At what happened.
So that's kind of what I mean when I say like the bottomless portafilter is kind of a diagnostic tool. Mm-hmm. You can really have a look at and just kind of see if there's any channeling, things like that. See if things are not coming together in the middle the way that you really want them to. So plus, I mean, when the extraction is good, it looks cool too. You know?
So let's see. I'm having a problem. My single shot great pressure, my double shot low pressure. Why? Well, single shot basket, if you're doing single shot baskets, right? And unfortunately, I don't have one out here, but they have far fewer holes in the bottom, right? So they have more natural restriction to them.
Right.
And if you're going to, so probably what you need to do, I don't know, I don't have all the information, but probably what you need to do is be grinding a little finer or dosing a little heavier for that double shot basket.
Yeah, I'm thinking if you want to dose a little bit higher, like if you're doing, let's say, for example, 7 to 10, let's call it 8 grams of coffee in that single shot basket, you're probably going to want to be around like 18 grams, maybe 20 grams in your double shot basket. So that would be number one. Yeah. And then if that doesn't do the trick, I would absolutely grind finer.
Yeah. I mean, that's the typical. And I think one thing we should mention is, there's always the basic dial-in, right? It's like a 1 to 2 ratio in, that 25, 30 second area, someplace in there. That's just getting you at a starting point, really, right? And then you have to taste and then see what happens, like maybe when you change a ratio a little bit, or when you change a grind, or when you change a temperature. But like, we're saying we're controlling variables. When you change one thing, you want to keep everything else the same.
Right, that's the only way that you're really gonna like isolate what the actual problem was in the first place, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was having a conversation about, brew temperatures, because there's this basic advice, right, that, it's somewhere between, and I'm going to talk Fahrenheit because we're in the U.S.
Sure.
195 and 205 is the, coffee brewing temperature, right? And like I said, I was using 200 for the crema wave, getting the 200 off of here.
Yeah. Over
here, we were 202, 203 for this, this lighter roast of a coffee.
Yeah. Which
is generally the way you approach things is, darker, cooler, lighter, hotter.
In general, yeah, absolutely.
But it's not always true. And another thing to know about temperature, and something I wanted to add in today, because we were just talking about this morning, is the purpose of pre-infusion, maybe to help with channeling, maybe help with off-gassing in a really fresh from roast coffee. Let the carbon dioxide come out so the water can get in.
Right.
But it's also about getting your puck to an even temperature, right, before you actually start the extraction. And I was reading about, grinding in commercial settings, where if you're grinding, we were talking about this, right? You're grinding a lot of coffee, and, your first grinds of the day might be coming out, 20 degrees centigrade above what the bean temperature was. If you're grinding after grind, it might be 50.
Yeah, you might get a really hot.
Changes.
Yeah, you might get a really hot grinder.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you might be heating up your grounds on the way out of the burrs.
Yeah.
And that's going to change your entire extraction right there, that additional heat applied to the beans.
So pre-infusion can help with consistency of the temperature of your coffee, because you're putting some of that hot water in the coffee, letting the puck come up to a consistent temperature so that you can extract all those things that you want out of that. So it's one of those consistency things.
Yeah, absolutely. You can end up with, if you're not using too much of a pre-infusion, you can end up with a really hot or target temperature, let's call it, top of the puck.
Right.
And then as the water is moving down the puck, you might end up with like up to 20 or so degrees cooler by the time it's actually coming out. So if you've got a machine that can do some pre-infusion, go ahead and use it. I think it's a pretty cool feature that can maybe even get you a tastier espresso. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions as we're looking through here?
Nick is jumping in and answering.
Nick is all over the place on these things.
Yeah, thanks, Nick.
Really appreciate that.
Yeah.
I see we got some questions. Numerous countries to make it difficult and confusing. Yeah, coffee can get really confusing, right? Where so many different regions and flavors, and even within the same region, you get different flavors. I mean, we were talking about before we came on. One of the best coffees Brian Sittenbeck ever had was from where, Brian?
Mexico.
One of the worst coffees I ever had was from
Mexico.
Mexico.
Yeah, and it just goes to show within just one country, just because it's from a certain country doesn't mean really that it's good or bad. It's going to come down to a number of factors, right?
Right.
Yeah, the actual farm, the soil, the altitude it was grown at, and this is all without touching processing. Was it a washed coffee or a natural coffee? There's even different varieties of coffee, kind of like apples. Granny Smith, Empire, they all taste different.
Right.
Same thing with coffee. So there's a number of factors, and it can get overwhelming. But I think that's going to be fun. We should do one on actual coffee as well. I think that's good feedback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So while we're here, I want to talk, because we do have these baskets. So I've got this assortment of baskets out here. These all happen to be Barista Pro baskets, but we're looking at different sizes. And we talked about the bottomless over here, and I think we already touched on it. But for instance, so I've got a stock ECM double spout portafilter here. And I'm going to do the old yank it out with my fingernails thing. There are tools for that, or there's tricks, like putting the other basket in there.
You've done this before.
But I've got like a 22-gram basket here that I'm going to try and stick into here. And You know what? It looks like it fits.
Barely. I'm
But
seeing a
you
little
see
bit of a
this
ridge
thing, if
on
you see it-
top.
So do me a favor, try and clock that in over on the Synchronica
Wow. All right, let's go. Let's take this bottomless out.
and see if we even can.
I can't even.
can't.
I can't even get it anywhere near. Not even close to 6 o'clock. This is like 8 o'clock here.
Right.
Wow. Man, look at that. And then check this out. I don't know if we can zoom in on that, but that's a pretty hefty gap.
Yeah, which
Between-
is causing the problem. 'Cause
Yeah.
that's bottoming out in here, right?
Yeah. That's where it usually seals, and there's about like several millimeters of clearance there. No wonder it can't get in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Naomi's asking, do our coffee have roast dates on them? Yes, they do.
You bet. Yeah.
The ones we get locally, for sure. This is a bag we've had around for a little bit. This one happens to be 1107.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can get in
Well,
there.
that's what we
24.
drink over here.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
We save the good stuff for the other folks, right?
Yeah, we save them for
No, but this
save it for our
was really
customers.
good, right? And I am
Yeah.
totally of the belief that, yes, freshness makes a difference. But if you store it, in a normal temperature, sealed in the bag, it's going to stay good. Maybe a little longer than you might think.
Yeah, I agree, and not for nothing. We've got some actual accessories and products that can help with that. We've got
Yeah.
we don't have it out here, but it's called the Fellow Atmos. It's ATMOS.
Yeah.
And that is a little jar where if you put your coffee in there, you just give it a little swivel on top. It's going to get all the oxygen out of there. It's going to make your coffee last even longer.
And I'll say, I just wanted to check the date over here. This was, we'll show that. That's roasted December 10th.
Yeah. So much better.
So we're about what, five and a half weeks off on
Yeah.
this one, maybe 6.
Yeah, and frankly, like even as a coffee dude, I'm pretty open-minded when it comes to the dates. I mean, it's the thing that we say around here all the time. Like, try it.
Yeah.
A couple weeks ago, Zach and I were doing a live stream. We had an espresso. We were talking about the VS6, and we had an espresso that came out in like 16 or 17 seconds. And I was going, let's try another one. And he goes, no.
Yeah.
Let's drink it. And it turned out to taste fabulous. So just try it anyway. You know?
Yeah, you always got to taste. I've seen plenty of shots pulled by actually World Barista Championship judges under 20 seconds that were good, and I've seen them pulled over 40 seconds that are good. So this whole timing thing, people get very, very, very wrapped up in it, but that's why we always say, taste everything. You might find that you'll like it.
You might get pretty
Right?
caffeinated, but you should anyway.
That's right. Let's see. Naomi's also, can you dose 20 into an 18-gram basket?
Yeah. And it depends.
It depends.
Yeah.
If it's a really dense light roast, it's not going to take up as much space.
Yeah.
Like this coffee is probably going to take up a little less space than this coffee.
Yeah, you could. I think you could absolutely, just on the roast of that Guatemala that we're working with back here, it's much more dense, so you can fit more coffee by weight into that 18-gram basket. Absolutely.
And I mean, we like to talk about what you do want some headspace. You don't want your coffee smack up against the shower screen under there.
Right.
So you do want a little headspace so that water can flow evenly on.
Yeah. And you know what, Naomi, that's a good point. You don't want to overload,
Right.
because that might cause some channeling. Especially if you're not getting a great stream of water, if you don't have one of these upgraded screens in there. But yeah, just make sure you have a little bit of headspace between the screen and the top of the coffee bed.
Yeah. But not too much either, right?
Not too much, because
you don't want to put 7 grams in a double shot basket. You know?
Right. You're gonna just drown your coffee in that case. Splurged on the battery-powered Atmos Nice, awesome, Chris.
Yeah.
Can I order the coffees knowing what they are? You know what? We're gonna have a ton of new coffee options coming out for that. Keep an eye out for that, Naomi. So, what else you got here? We got all kinds of levelers, tampers. I mean, there's a million accessories that we didn't even bring out on the table today.
Right. Well, you know what? Well, we got some time. Again, if you have the questions, go ahead and ask. It's lovely to see all these. And Nick, thanks for all your help answering them, of course.
Yeah.
You know what? We talked about easy ways to better coffee. So what is coffee mostly made of that you're going to drink?
About 90% water.
Right. So my first go-to is water. So I do have it sitting on. We're going to bring out what we use here all the time, what we recommend.
What do we got?
A couple options here. We do, you know, if you read the comments and have seen the videos, we do recommend the BWT stuff. So we have their Aqualizer pitcher here, and I'll tell you what these do. We have the drop-in pad filters. These will work in a machine like the Classic or over here on the Synchronica, or we have plumbed-in options for the Synchronica. But all the BWT stuff, what they do is they're gonna, first of all, they have activated carbon in them, right? So chlorination, they're gonna remove that. So, you know, we were talking earlier, you know, it gets in summertime, I don't know, around here sometimes I smell my tap water and it smells like a swimming pool.
It smells like a hose sometimes too, yeah.
That's not what I want in my coffee at all, right?
No.
So that's gonna remove that. They also, what they do, they soften the water, but they use a different process than what most people are used to, which is sodium-based softening.
Yeah.
Where sodium is replacing calcium in the water, because all water coming out of taps, pretty much everywhere, some softer, some harder, but it's going to have some calcium in it, right, and magnesium in it. And some of those things create scale, and some don't. The BWT products, they all use an ion exchange, which same thing as the sodium does, but they exchange calcium with magnesium, so it keeps the hardness level, because you do need some minerals in your water.
You need a little, you do need some,
but if you take, you know, if you reduce the amount of calcium in it, a couple things is, number one, magnesium is a much better flavor extractor than sodium is. That's been proven over and over again in taste tests.
Oh yeah.
And also it doesn't cause a scale. In fact, if your tap water doesn't have like these super extreme edge case water issues, if you use any of the BWT products, you'll never get scale in your machine. That's incredibly important in a machine like the Synchronica, because you really don't want to be descaling dual boilers at home.
No, you want to send your machine in for that kind of thing. So if you can avoid that by using these BWT products.
And I spend a lot of time talking to people who use these machines. In fact, one of the most popular videos I've ever done about this was how to take care of the solenoid valve on this. Because if you put hard water into these, eventually you're going to get some scale. It's going to plug up.
Oh yeah.
And it's really easy to take care of. Check out my video.
Sure.
But then once you do, filter your water so you don't have to go through it again. Get the chlorine out of it, get, you know, the extra calcium out of it, and you'll just have better tasting coffee as well.
And you know, these BWT products are awesome. I use them. I really like the Aqualizer pitcher because I like to use the water both for the espresso machine and drink it.
Yeah.
And I like to use my electric kettle for when I'm making pour-overs and things like that, so I can use that water there. That's one of my favorite products that we have on the site.
Yeah. Naomi, I mean, according to BWT, that's the deal. Unless you have like some extreme edge case issue, like super high sulfates or gypsum or something, and you know, like that causes that in your water. If your tap water is safe to drink, if you put it through a BWT product and use it as directed, no scale.
Yep. Yeah. Absolutely. Alan, does filter paper improve the taste of your espresso shots? The answer would be depends. The answer is try it out, I think.
Yeah.
You can try, you know, Brian, we were talking about this, just yesterday or 2 days ago. You can put a paper filter on top of the puck to kind of help disperse some water through a little more evenly throughout the puck. That's number one. If it fits, you can try it on the bottom, and that can filter out some of the actual solids and some of the fats in the espressos to just kind of increase clarity a little bit. Or you could try both. Why not? And just see what happens. And you know, like all things, like we were saying earlier, it can depend on the coffee. Maybe it will improve the taste of the coffee. Maybe it will make it taste not as good. And there's only one way to find out. Just give it a shot.
And I see Alan's asking about, is there a gauge you can use to get the right headspace for your portafilter? I know Zach has his quarter trick, right?
Yeah. And
that he really likes?
I love it, yeah. Here's what you do. You're going to go through your entire puck prep, right? You're going to grind your coffee. You're going to do your leveling, maybe your WDT and your leveling tool, and then you're going to tamp. After you tamp, you want to take a quarter. You want to put it right in the middle of your coffee bed. And then you want to put it right up into your group head, nice and gently. You want to put it right up in there. Don't brew, just take it right out. So here's what you're looking for.
Yeah.
If the quarter did not go into the coffee bed at all, you can add more coffee. You might even have too much headspace. If it went in all the way, you probably have too much coffee and not enough headspace. And if it went in to the coffee bed just a little bit, you're gold.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's the sweet spot.
Yeah, and that's not you're not wrong. That is not an easy thing to figure out.
Right.
That trick works really well, and it's cheap too. It costs 25 cents.
And you can reuse it. So.
Yeah, you can. It doesn't even cost you anything.
Or I mean, of course, I mean, if you don't want to go to the whole stick the quarter in there, but it's how hard is that? Not hard at all.
Sure.
But always look at your puck after an extraction, and if you see, a definite impression of your shower screen in that puck, you probably got too much coffee in there.
Yeah, in fact, we went through that earlier when I was dialing this in, right?
Yeah, we beat you back. You started with 23 initially and brought it back to 22.
Right. Yep. Yeah, and after 22, it was starting to get to the sweet spot there. Yeah.
Yeah. So really easy. Let's see. Oh, so we answered that one. I mean, we do have got about 9.5 more minutes here. So if you have more questions, we'd love to hear them. Great suggestion with the quarter. Oh, coffee bean queen.
Yeah, we can thank Zach for that one. That was a cool idea you had there. Yeah.
So just real quick, let's just really quick recap, right?
Yeah.
So we'll just kind of go across the board here. So we've got some dosing cups over there. Like I was using, that comes with the Baratza Encore ESP. We call them a flip cup because you put your portafilter on top, flip it upside down.
Yep.
We've got a couple other options, a couple Eureka variations here and the Varia variations.
Yep, and you can use these as kind of the flip cup method as well.
Yeah.
This is a 58 millimeter cup. This is a 54.
Yeah.
So whichever kind of machine, whichever kind of portafilter you have, Varia has options for those as well. So yeah.
So different styles like that. The dosing funnels. There are some grinders that are designed to accept it. I know we've got a couple Eureka automatic weight grinders that grind by weight.
Right, yeah.
That can accept a dosing funnel even with the weighing capability. These are grinders that you say, I want 18 grams, you stick it in and it grinds you 18 grams.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Very cool, really like that. We talked about upgrades to filter baskets and showed a bunch here. So you can see the different sizes, and again, if you're gonna go to triple shot, make sure that it's going to fit into the portafilter you're going to use, or better yet, just get a bottomless portafilter.
Yep.
But I would also check those. There are a couple out there. I'm trying to think, maybe some old Bedzera model bottomless ones that don't fit all the sizes.
Right. And make sure that the bottomless portafilter that you're picking up fits your manufacturer of machine as well.
Right.
So if you've got like a Profitec drive, for example, you want to maybe make sure that you get the Profitec bottomless portafilter.
Yeah, I mean E61 groups are pretty universal.
Pretty universal, yeah. So you're mostly safe there. I just like to double check. But yeah, these and not for nothing, these baskets, a lot of them have a nanotech coating, which can make it really easy to get your spent puck of espresso off of the basket. It helps keep it clean and everything as well.
And collects less oils and stuff. Whenever I pull out one, we're going to do a video like this. I take out the portafilter and then I'm doing this. I'm making sure all the hole in the filter basket, making sure all the holes
are you like
clean.
Holding it up to the light?
Yeah, just to make sure, because you want, if you're just looking at it, you may not even notice. But if you've got a bunch of the little holes in here plugged up, you're going to get a different extraction, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So I do take a look at that. Of course, one other really simple thing, and if you grab it over there, I've got that.
Oh, yeah.
The red, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And no, the Kafidza.
This red.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, you don't want coffee oils and gunk collecting on it. A lot of times, I get asked, how do I clean these? This is what they use pretty much in every cafe, right?
Oh, yeah. This is one of my favorite things in the world.
And, like a bottle like this size can easily last a year. I think we are doing so many machines, so much cleaning all the time. Don't ever descale this. This is not a descaler.
No, it's not a descaler. Don't do it.
Put this in your machine, but you can definitely soak your portafilters and your filter baskets, your drip trays, that kind of thing. It makes it so easy to get all that gunk off of there.
Yep.
Where regular soap and water generally just doesn't do it.
That's right. Yeah, you can use that Kafidza to clean the group head, and after you do clean your group head with Kafidza, I mean, when I'm being good, I do it every 25 shots. When I'm being bad, I do it every 50. No matter what, my coffee always tastes better when I clean my group head with Kafidza.
Yeah, because you're leaving all those oils behind, and oils eventually, what happens to them? They get rancid,
They get
right?
rancid, yeah, and then after they
Oxygen
build
gets
up
to 'em
too.
and- yeah, build up and get gross. Our basket dishwasher machine safe? You know, I honestly, I've never put one in a dishwasher
I never have either, and my
because I know this
intuition.
does so much better.
Yeah. One, my intuition is the Cafiza is going to do just a fine job, but two, I worry about like warping inside of the dishwasher. Yeah.
Okay.
You know, not a thing I've tested. I would just rather use Cafiza, and then not for nothing, I use Cafiza for everything. Sometimes if I've got like an old, I've had to do this the other day. I had an old glass around, and I wanted to clean it up. I was having a difficult time getting old gunk out of it.
Yeah.
Put it in the dishwasher, it didn't do anything. I soaked it with Cafiza, and everything came off. So I use Cafiza for everything.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, like, because we use like the Pyrex stuff, and after a long time, you know, it gets a little buildup on it, and I just put a little in there and just let it sit for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And it takes it right up. Use it on. I've got this stainless steel travel mug that I've been using, I think, for 12 years.
Oh,
and after, you know, and I give it a gentle wash, you know, every time I use it, but eventually it gets some buildup on there. Throw a little Cafiza in there, let it soak for 10 minutes. All that stuff comes
and that's
right
all
up.
it takes, about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ultrasonic cleaner? I don't know. I haven't tried that either.
I haven't tried it, but Ken, I'll take you up on it. I'll
Yeah.
if I can get my hands on some, I'll test it out for you. Does the espresso taste better in bigger baskets? Same parameters except dose? In some baskets, it'll taste different. So, for example, the Renato basket that we have is meant to increase body. And that just has to do with the hole pattern on the bottom. And otherwise, I wouldn't say, you know, necessarily better, worse, anything like that. I do think, I will say, most double and triple shot baskets, the geometry of most of them will give you more consistent extractions from top of the basket to the bottom. And, you know, otherwise, better or worse, it's going to be one of those subjective things. You know how I like to say, like, try everything. You know, some of that might fall under that category.
Yeah, I mean, here's like a stock basket, right? Notice how it's got the, I'll put it over here, Brian, so we can see the difference here. How it's got that angle down, right? And then if we look at some of the precision baskets, you do not have that at all. It's straight down. And if you can see here, right? I mean, there's a much larger hole pattern.
Oh, than the stock basket, yeah.
Than the stock basket. So it definitely changes. And like we say, you always, you know, you got to try and taste, right? And see what happens while you keep all those other variables the same.
That's right. Now, what do we got here? Nick just
Nick
dropped
has
us off a
thrown me
gift.
out. Oh, we have this coffee container, this Airscape. And I have not seen this one yet.
No,
so.
I haven't either. Want to play?
Thanks.
Let's see what we got.
Oh, look at that. Oh, okay.
Wow.
So this goes down. I'll put it over here. So this, you're pushing air out, right?
Cool.
Yeah, and
So
then,
you would have
locking it so no air gets in.
Right.
And then a secondary lid. So yeah, because it's oxygen is the problem, right?
Right. And that's got to be a one-way valve in there that can just get all the oxygen out, and you can just push your beans down and have no air headspace.
I saw somebody earlier had mentioned they had gotten the battery-powered one that evacuates the air. Those are cool.
Yeah.
Thanks, Nick, for bringing this in.
Yeah, Nick, thanks. I haven't seen this yet. So this is available on the website now?
That's right, in multiple colors and sizes.
So
Multiple colors
Airscape.
and sizes.
And if you're all about whole latte love.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
Cool.
Oh, that's cool. Nick, we're going to
That's
need one of
super easy.
these or two of these for the studio. All right, well, we've got
Nice.
about a minute and a half left. Let's see. Any other questions we should take a look at here? It looks like we got a lot of back and forth between some of our comments here. I love that.
Same, yep. Same basket, for example, 18 to 22, the Big Bang 22. Taste difference, I think you're going to get a little bit more body in the Big Bang. And part of that's going to have to do with just there's a difference in hole pattern.
You do have right there, right?
Yeah, not necessarily the size of it. The Big Bang does have a different hole pattern. I'm using one at the house right now, and I'm loving it. But yeah. Sorry, I misunderstood your question at first. There's only going to be a taste difference, I would say, just based on the hole pattern. Otherwise, it's all about the ratios. Yeah.
That's a Monty Python reference, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
The average airspeed of an unladen swallow, right?
Do you know this one, Mark?
I haven't seen the Holy Grail in a while, but,
Same.
but I'm pretty sure, I don't know. We could talk about shrubbery or not being dead yet.
That's a whole nother live stream.
Yeah. 22 miles per hour, Alan. Thanks, Alan. Thanks for answering that question. Well, John, we're going to wrap it up. Guys, thanks so much for joining us. Thanks for all your questions. Love the humor down there as well. Do subscribe to the channel. We're doing these when?
Fridays at 3 p.m. Eastern.
And if you're not watching us live, you can still ask questions in a replay of this. And we try and answer every original comment that we get across the videos on the channel. Monitor them all, and we really appreciate it. Guys, thanks so much for joining us. John, thanks for helping out today.
Awesome stuff, man.
Yeah,
I had a
man.
blast working with you.
Have a great weekend, buddy.
All right, you too.
All right, you guys take care.
Cheers, y'all.